Okay, guys, today we're going to go over thesis. I'm going to kind of show you what it takes to make a thesis, what it is, and kind of a bunch of examples of people who made proper theses. All right.
So here we kind of have what the definition of a thesis statement is. So the thesis is the central point or main idea of an essay, and it is one of the main ways an essay is unified. So the thesis statement is usually at the bottom of the introductory paragraph, and it has the layout of the whole entire essay basically in one paragraph, and it kind of explains what your purpose is and how you're going to basically back up the information that you're stating there. Yeah, so if there's no thesis stated or unstated, there is no essay. Yeah. So the thesis basically makes most essays. Having a clearly stated thesis unifies the argument, and having a clearly stated thesis simplifies the writing task. Yeah, so by having a clearly stated thesis, whenever someone reads your essay, they can kind of get a concise explanation for what they're reading. They're going to understand how it's going to be laid out in the following paragraphs, and it kind of acts as like a simple summary for them to prepare themselves for your essay. By having a thesis, it does help the writing task, as it kind of gives you your own. I want to say you should have a mini outline before you write any essay, but I would say it shows kind of the order and how each kind of body paragraph following it is going to be presented. Here we have the do's and don'ts for writing your own thesis. So in the do's section, we have do know your writing purpose before starting to compose the thesis statement, determine what the purpose of the paper will be. Yeah, so that's just kind of understanding your overall purpose and kind of the theme that you're going to lay out in your essay. Do formulate a thesis statement in a debatable manner. Yeah, it doesn't have to simply be stating facts. It can be more argumentative. Do make your thesis statement easy to read. Yeah, so it should be kind of a well-written, kind of concise statement of, like, I think around 2 sentences is good. And yeah, it should be kind of very easy to read and understand, because it's going to be the basic summary of your whole entire essay. Do include details that would make your thesis statement more specific. Yeah, so include kind of, yeah, more evidence-based kind of material, I'd say, in your thesis statement, just to kind of specify what you're going to talk about. And have a clear vision of your topic before composing a thesis statement. Yeah, so you should be kind of a firm grasp of what your essay is going to be about, and you should have your evidence already laid out, and then you should be able to write your thesis statement. Looking at the don't column, we have don't compose your thesis statement in a form of question. Yeah, it should never be a question. It should always just be a statement. Don't use sentence structures as this is the point of my paper and this paper argues that. Yeah, so you don't need to start off a thesis with kind of the this is the point of my paper, because it kind of makes it sound a little unprofessional, I'd say. Um, don't use general statements or obvious facts. Yeah, it should be more argumentative or an assertion of a topic. Don't make vague statements. It should be clear and concise. And don't provide announcements or assumptions. You should be stating your point and should be prepared to back up most of that information. So yeah, those are the do's and don'ts. Here we have an example of a thesis generator. So it asks kind of 5 questions or 4 questions, and they help you to form your thesis. And this one has an example attached to it. So I'm just going to run through it right now. So the first question it's going to ask you is, what is your topic? So kind of a general overview of what your topic is going to be. And for this person, it's who's to blame for the obesity epidemic. The next question you should ask yourself when making a thesis is, what is your stance or claim? So this is just, what is your personal opinion of this kind of topic? And this person has the opinion that parents should teach their children healthy eating habits. The next question you should move on to is, what is your rationale for this stance? So why do you believe this way, and what information do you have to kind of back up this stance? And so this person has the statement that because parents are the first to teach and model healthy eating habits. The fourth and final question that this generator is asking is, what concessions will you make to qualify your stance and acknowledge opposition? So what opposing views can you acknowledge that kind of focus around your topic? And so this person acknowledges that some want to blame the fast food industry for obesity epidemic. And so by kind of taking all this information they were able to gather from from these 4 simple questions, they are able to kind of put that into this thesis statement. So they have that although some blame the fast food industry for the obesity epidemic, parents are more at fault because they are the first to teach and model healthy eating habits to their children. So they were just able to take each one of those statements they got from asking themselves those questions, and then they were able to put those statements into a thesis. So here we have a introductory paragraph with a thesis at the bottom there. And so in the beginning, it has kind of the whole hook and kind of list out pieces of evidence. Then it has these subpoints, which is kind of nearby, which is above your thesis that should kind of outline it and help kind of lead into it. So they have it as birth order can have a significant impact in the formation of a child's character. So that's kind of the layout of the essay right there. It's going to be focused on how being born in a certain order in a family is going to impact someone's character. And then they move on to their thesis statement. So their thesis statement is birth order can strongly affect one's relationship with parents, relationships with others, and how one views responsibility as an adult. So they have a clear and kind of concise sentence here. It explains the layout of the rest of the essay. So I'm assuming that their 3 body paragraphs are going to be one about relationships with parents, one about with others, and then finally how one views responsibility as an adult. So it kind of gives you a good general overview of how the rest of the essay is going to look. And yeah, it's a very well written thesis. Here we have a argumentative thesis statement that's making a claim. An argumentative thesis statement, it states the topic of your paper, your position on the topic, the reasons you have for taking that position, and yeah. So here is the example. It has the topic, which is technology. It has your position on the topic, which has decreased our level of connectedness to others, and then it has your reasons listed afterwards. So it allows us to disconnect from people in our physical environment, and it does not foster the social skills needed in order to help us connect to those around us. So yeah, this is a good thesis statement, and you can easily see how they break it up. Example here is an analytical thesis statement. It's analyzing an issue. An analytic thesis states the topic of your paper, what specifically you analyzed, and then the conclusions you reached as a result of that analysis. So in this example, we have what's being analyzed as an analysis of alternatives. The topic is fossil fuel energies, and then the conclusion is that they indicate a better option is the use of solar and wind power. So this is kind of a more concise thesis, but it still works since it's kind of analytical and it clearly states what's going to be talked about in the rest of the essay. Here we have an expository thesis statement, which is explaining a topic. And an expository thesis statement states the topic of your paper and lists the key aspects of your topic that will be discussed in the paper. So this one, it has factors related to student success is the topic. And then we have the key aspects of the topic, which are effective time management, motivation, and family support. So yeah, this just kind of, it's short and it kind of lists off what's going to be spoken about in the later parts of the essay, and it kind of breaks them up into 3 portions, which most likely will be the 3 body paragraphs for an essay like this.
Okay, guys, so that's what I have for you on making a thesis. It's pretty important that you guys learn this. Most essays are going to require you to have a thesis in your introduction, and it's a kind of good way to lay out the flow of your whole entire essay. So yeah, see you in the next video.